In the distant future, humanity had spread across the stars. Colonies dotted planets and moons, connected by trade routes and communication networks. Earth was no longer alone. It was the heart of a growing interstellar civilization. But peace never lasts forever. One quiet evening at Luna Base, a listening post on the moon, something unusual happened. Jacob Carter, a linguist who spent most of his days decoding strange signals from deep space, noticed something odd. A faint transmission had come in, unlike anything he'd ever heard before. It wasn't random noise or natural phenomena. It was deliberate, structured, and carried an eerie tone. At first, Jacob thought it might be another alien species trying to make contact. But as he worked to translate the message, chills ran down his spine. The language was complex, but after hours of effort, Jacob cracked it. The words appeared on his screen. Your worlds will fall. Resistance is futile. His hands froze over the keyboard. He read the line again and again, unable to believe what he was seeing. This wasn't a friendly greeting. It was a threat. Someone, or something, was declaring war on humanity. Jacob immediately alerted his superiors. Within minutes, alarms blared throughout Luna Base. News of the transmission raced across human-controlled space like wildfire. Colonists on distant planets panicked. Leaders scrambled to respond. Back on Earth, President Laura Hayes called an emergency meeting of the United Nations Galactic Council. She stood before holographic screens showing representatives from every corner of human territory, her face grim. We cannot ignore this, she said firmly. This is not just a threat. It's a declaration of intent. We must stand united. If we falter now, everything we've built will crumble. While politicians debated strategies, Captain Rachel Monroe sat quietly in her quarters aboard the starship Aegis *. She stared out the viewport at the endless expanse of stars. Rachel had served in the fleet for years, protecting colonies and exploring uncharted regions of space. But nothing prepared her for this moment. When her commanding officer asked for volunteers to track down the source of the signal, Rachel didn't hesitate. She stepped forward, ready to lead the mission. Her crew quickly assembled. Lieutenant Daniel Brooks, the ship's tactical expert, joined her first. Though young, Daniel had sharp instincts and unmatched skill in combat scenarios. Next came Dr. Emily Dawson, a soft-spoken xenobiologist fascinated by alien life forms. Lastly, there was Marcus Lane, the chief engineer whose gruff exterior hid a brilliant mind. Together, they formed a team capable of handling whatever lay ahead. As the Aegis * launched into the void, Rachel addressed her crew. We don't know what's waiting for us out there, she admitted. But one thing is certain. We're carrying humanity's answer to this threat. And that answer is simple. We won't back down. The journey began with cautious optimism. They passed through asteroid fields glittering like jewels and skirted the edges of black holes where time seemed to stretch endlessly. Along the way, they found remnants of civilizations wiped out, ships adrift, their crews long gone. Each discovery weighed heavily on the crew. These were warnings etched in steel and silence. The Vorthak Dominion spared no one. Rachel knew the stakes. Humanity's survival depended on their success. As the Aegis * sailed deeper into unknown territory, the crew braced themselves for what might come next. Whatever awaited them, they were determined to face it head-on. For better or worse, humanity's fate rested in their hands. The journey into uncharted space was anything but smooth. The Aegis * moved cautiously, its engines humming softly as it navigated through regions no human had ever explored. Captain Rachel Monroe stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the swirling starfield outside the viewport. She felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on her shoulders. This mission wasn't just about finding answers. It was about survival. Every decision she made could mean life or death for billions back home. Lieutenant Daniel Brooks sat at his station, monitoring the ship's sensors. His fingers danced across the controls as he scanned for any sign of danger. So far, the path ahead seemed clear, But that didn't ease his nerves. Daniel had seen enough battles to know that silence often preceded chaos. "We're approaching an asteroid field," he announced, breaking the quiet tension on the bridge. "It's dense, and some of those rocks are moving fast." Rachel nodded. "Take us through carefully, Daniel. We can't afford to lose speed or attract attention." The Aegis slipped into the asteroid field, weaving between massive chunks of rock and ice. The crew held their breath as one particularly large asteroid loomed closer, narrowly missing the ship's hull. Marcus Lane, the chief engineer, muttered under his breath from his station. "This old bucket isn't built for fancy flying," he grumbled, though his hands moved swiftly to stabilize the ship's systems. Despite his complaints, Marcus worked tirelessly to keep the Aegis running smoothly. He knew how much depended on this mission. Dr. Emily Dawson watched the asteroids pass by, her mind racing with questions. What kind of beings were they dealing with? Why had the Vortex sent such a chilling message? She couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story than simple aggression. "Do you think they even tried talking to other species before attacking?" she asked aloud, half to herself. Rachel turned to her. "Maybe, or maybe they didn't bother. Either way, we need to be ready for anything." As they exited the asteroid field, the sensors picked up something unusual, a cluster of derelict ships drifting silently in the void. The sight sent a shiver through the crew. These weren't just abandoned vessels. They were ruins, scared by weapons fire and decay. Whoever these ships belonged to, they hadn't gone quietly. "Let's take a closer look," Rachel ordered. The Aegis approached cautiously, its lights illuminating the ghostly remains. Some ships were little more than skeletal frames, while others still carried traces of their former glory. Faded insignias, shattered windows, and empty escape pods. It was clear they had once belonged to advanced civilizations, now wiped out entirely. Emily studied the wreckage intently. "These designs, they're not human. And they're not Vorthek either." Her voice trembled slightly. "Whoever they were, they fought hard. But it wasn't enough." Daniel clenched his jaw. "If the Vorthak did this to them, what chance do we have?" Rachel placed a hand on his shoulder. "We're not like them. We adapt. We survive. That's what humans do." But the eerie scene left its mark on everyone. As the Aegis continued onward, the crew couldn't help but wonder if they were heading toward a similar fate. The vast emptiness of space suddenly felt colder, heavier. Each passing moment brought them closer to the source of the signal, and whatever horrors awaited them there. Despite their fears, the crew pressed on. They had a job to do, and failure wasn't an option. For humanity's sake, they would face whatever came next. The Aegis finally reached the edge of Vorthak territory, a region of space that seemed darker and colder than anywhere else. The crew stared in awe at what lay before them, a massive structure floating in the void. It was part fortress, part factory, bristling with weapons and surrounded by countless warships. The sheer size of it made the Aegis look like a speck in comparison. This was the heart of the Vorthak Dominion, a machine of conquest designed to crush anything in its path. Rachel Monroe tightened her grip on the armrests of her chair. "This is it," she said quietly. "Stay sharp, everyone." Before they could retreat or formulate a plan, the ship's communication system crackled to life. The deep, guttural voice echoed through the bridge, sending chills down their spines. "Human vessel, you trespass in sacred space. Turn back or face annihilation." Lieutenant Daniel Brooks frowned as he analyzed the signal. "It's coming from one of those ships near the structure," he reported. On the main screen, a large Vorthak cruiser came into view. Its sleek design was both beautiful and terrifying, a predator among stars. Rachel stepped closer to the comms panel. "This is Captain Rachel Monroe of the starship Aegis. We've come to deliver a message to your leaders." There was a pause, followed by a low chuckle. "I am Zerkthal, commander of this fleet. Your words mean nothing to us. You are weak. Your worlds will burn. Rachel's jaw tightened. She leaned toward the microphone, her voice steady despite the fear gnawing at her insides. You've made a grave mistake underestimating us. Humanity does not yield. If you want our worlds, you'll have to take them from us. And trust me, it won't be easy. Zerkthal's response was immediate and mocking. Brave words for such fragile beings. You cling to hope, but hope cannot save you. Prepare to die. The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the bridge in tense silence. The Vorthok ships began to move, closing in around the Aegis *. Red lights blinked across their hulls, signaling weapons charging. The situation looked dire. We can't fight them head-on, Marcus Lane said urgently. They'll tear us apart in seconds. Rachel nodded. We need to get out of here. Now. Daniel sprang into action, plotting a course through a nearby nebula visible on the scanners. If we head into that cloud, their sensors might lose track of us, he suggested. It's risky, but it's our best shot. Do it, Rachel ordered without hesitation. The Aegis * surged forward, narrowly dodging blasts from the Vorthok fleet. Explosions lit up the darkness as enemy ships fired relentlessly. The crew held on tight as the ship rocked violently under the assault. Emily Dawson gripped her console, her knuckles white. Hold together, old girl, Marcus muttered, coaxing every ounce of power from the engines. Finally, they reached the nebula, its swirling colors enveloping the ship like a protective cloak. Behind them, the Vorthok fleet hesitated, unsure where their prey had gone. For now, the Aegis * was safe, but only temporarily. As the crew caught their breath, Rachel stood silently, staring at the image of the Vorthok construct fading into the distance. Her mind raced with thoughts of what lay ahead. They had delivered humanity's warning, but the real battle was just beginning. The nebula provided a brief sanctuary, its swirling clouds of gas and dust masking the Aegis * from the Vorthok fleet. But the crew knew it was only a matter of time before their enemies found them. The tension on the bridge was palpable as everyone worked to regroup and assess their next move. Rachel Monroe paced back and forth, her mind racing with possibilities. They needed a plan, something bold enough to give humanity a fighting chance. It was during this tense moment that sensors picked up an unexpected signal. A faint distress call emanated from within the nebula, weak but unmistakable. Lieutenant Daniel Brooks adjusted the scanners to pinpoint its source. "Captain," he said, his voice tinged with both curiosity and concern, "there's a ship nearby. It's small, damaged, and barely holding together." Rachel hesitated for a moment. Stopping to investigate could mean risking their cover, but ignoring the signal felt wrong. "Take us in," she decided. "We can't leave someone stranded out here." The Aegis * maneuvered carefully through the nebula until they located the source of the signal, a battered, derelict vessel drifting silently in the void. Its hull was scorched, and parts of it were missing entirely, but it was clear it had once belonged to humans. Marcus Lane frowned as he examined the scans. "This thing looks like it's been out here for years. What are the odds anyone's still alive inside?" Against better judgment, Rachel ordered a boarding party. She, Daniel, and Emily suited up and crossed over to the wreck, using the Aegis * airlock. Inside, the ship was eerily quiet, its corridors dark and littered with debris. The air was stale, and the walls bore scorch marks from some long-ago battle. Emily shone her flashlight down the hallway, revealing broken consoles and overturned furniture. "Whoever these people were," she murmured, "they didn't go down without a fight." As they explored deeper, they discovered something shocking: a lone survivor, or rather, what was left of one. A man lay slumped against a wall, his body frail and emaciated. His breathing was shallow, but he was alive. When he saw the crew, his eyes widened slightly, and he rasped, "Help, please." They quickly brought him back to the Aegis *, where Dr. Emily Dawson tended to his injuries. Over the next few hours, the man regained enough strength to speak. He introduced himself as Nathan Cole, a scientist who had been part of a secret project decades ago. His story was harrowing. The colony he came from had been destroyed by the Vorthek, and his team had been working on a desperate last-ditch effort to defend humanity, a prototype weapon called an energy disruptor. The disruptor was designed to disable their technology, Nathan explained weakly. But it wasn't finished, and when we tried to test it, his voice trailed off, guilt shadowing his face. Things went wrong. My colony, I couldn't save them. Emily listened intently, her mind racing with possibilities. If we could complete the disruptor, we might stand a chance against the Vorthek, she said cautiously. But her excitement was tempered by unease. However, reviving this kind of weapon could have consequences. We don't fully understand it yet. Daniel crossed his arms, skeptical. Even if we could make it work, how do we know it won't end up destroying us too? This sounds dangerous. Rachel weighed the options carefully. Time was running out, and they couldn't afford to hesitate. We'll retrieve the blueprints and decide from there, she said firmly. Nathan, where is the research station you mentioned? Nathan pointed to a set of coordinates on the star map. It's hidden. Abandoned now. But be careful. The station has automated defenses. It doesn't take kindly to visitors. With no other leads, the crew set a course for the station. As the Aegis moved through the nebula, Rachel couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking a fine line between hope and disaster. If the disruptor worked, it could turn the tide of the war. But if it failed, or worse, backfired, it could spell doom for humanity. The coordinates led the Aegis to a desolate moon orbiting a dying star. The research station was hidden beneath layers of rock and dust, its entrance camouflaged to look like part of the terrain. As the ship landed nearby, the crew prepared for what lay ahead. Nathan Cole's warnings about automated defenses weighed heavily on their minds, but they had no choice. If the disruptor blueprints were inside, they had to retrieve them. Rachel Monroe led the team as they stepped onto the barren surface. The air was thin, and the ground crunched underfoot with every step. Emily Dawson carried a scanner, guiding them toward the station's hidden entrance. It should be just ahead, she said, her voice steady despite the tension in the air. Sure enough, they found a concealed hatch buried beneath dirt and debris. Marcus Lane worked quickly to pry it open, revealing a dark staircase leading downward. Inside, the station was eerily silent. Dust coated every surface, and flickering lights cast long shadows along the walls. The place had clearly been abandoned for years, but signs of its former purpose remained. Broken equipment, scattered papers, and faded insignias marked the corridors. Emily couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness. So much effort had gone into this project, only for it to be left behind. As they moved deeper, the automated defenses Nathan warned them about sprang to life. Drones descended from the ceiling, their red eyes glowing menacingly. "Take cover," Rachel shouted, drawing her weapon. The crew ducked behind overturned tables and consoles as the drones opened fire. Sparks flew as energy blasts ricocheted off metal surfaces. Daniel Brooks returned fire with precision, disabling one drone after another. Marcus used his engineering skills to hack into a control panel, temporarily shutting down some of the attackers. The skirmish left them breathless but alive. "We can't keep this up forever," Daniel said, wiping sweat from his brow. "There could be more traps ahead." Nathan nodded weakly. "The blueprints are in the main lab, but getting there won't be easy." They pressed on, navigating through increasingly treacherous sections of the station. At one point, they encountered a massive vault door sealed shut. Emily examined the locking mechanism while Marcus worked to bypass it. "This is going to take time," he muttered, his hands moving swiftly over the controls. Just as the door began to creak open, alarms blared throughout the station, and more drones appeared, forcing the team to fight their way into the lab. Inside, they found what they were looking for, a series of data drives containing the disruptor schematics. Emily carefully loaded them into a portable storage device. "Got it," she said, relief evident in her voice. But before they could celebrate, Nathan collapsed, clutching his chest. He looked up at Rachel, his face pale. I sabotaged my colony," he confessed, tears streaming down his face. "I thought I could save everyone, but I failed." Rachel knelt beside him, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You're helping us now. That's what matters." Suddenly, the sound of Vorthek ships echoed outside. They had been tracked. Nathan forced himself to stand, determination replacing his guilt. "Go. I'll hold them off." Before anyone could protest, he activated a self-destruct sequence for the station. "Good luck," he whispered, staying behind as the others ran for the exit. Back aboard the Aegis Asterisk, the crew watched as the station exploded in a fiery burst, taking Nathan with it. His sacrifice gave them the time they needed to escape. As the ship hurtled away from the moon, Rachel stared at the flames in the distance. "We owe him everything," she said quietly. Now armed with the disruptor blueprints, humanity had a fighting chance. But the hardest battles were still to come. The Aegis Asterisk raced back toward the Vorthek orbital construct, its crew working tirelessly to prepare for the final confrontation. The disruptor blueprints had been uploaded into the ship's systems, and Marcus Lane spent hours modifying the prototype to work with their weapons. "It's not perfect," he admitted, wiping grease from his hands, "but it should be enough to give us an edge." Rachel Monroe gathered her team on the bridge to outline the plan. "We'll split up," she said firmly. "Emily and Daniel will go inside the construct to plant explosives and disable key systems. Marcus will stay here to keep the Aegis Asterisk running and distract the fleet. I'll lead a strike team to confront Zerkthal directly." Daniel frowned, clearly uneasy about the risky strategy. "This feels like suicide," he muttered. "We're outnumbered and outgunned." "We don't have a choice," Rachel replied, her voice steady. "If we don't stop them now, humanity doesn't stand a chance." As they approached the massive structure, the Vorthek fleet mobilized, ships swarming around the Aegis Asterisk. Red beams of energy streaked through space as the enemy opened fire. Marcus worked furiously at his station, dodging blasts and maneuvering the ship closer to the construct. "Hold on," he shouted as the Aegis Asterisk shuddered under the assault. Explosions rocked the hull, but Marcus kept the engines running. "You've got one shot at this," he told Rachel over the comms. "Don't waste it." Rachel and her strike team launched in a small shuttle, slipping past the chaos outside and docking with the orbital construct. Inside, the air was thick with tension. Corridors hummed with alien machinery, and Vorthek soldiers patrolled every corner. Rachel moved silently, her weapon ready. She knew they were walking into a death trap, but there was no turning back. Meanwhile, Emily and Daniel fought their way deeper into the construct. They planted charges along critical systems, power cores, manufacturing hubs, and communication arrays. Each step brought them closer to danger, but they pressed on, driven by the knowledge that failure meant extinction for humanity. "We're almost done," Emily whispered, setting the last charge. "Let's get out of here." Back aboard the Aegis Asterisk, Marcus used the modified disruptor to disable several Vorthek ships. The weapon emitted a pulse of energy that short-circuited their systems, leaving them adrift in space. "That's for Nathan," Marcus muttered, grinning despite the peril. But the victory was short-lived. More ships closed in, relentless and unforgiving. Rachel finally reached Zerkthal's command chamber. The Vorthek commander stood tall, his armored form exuding menace. "You dare face me?" he growled, raising his weapon. Rachel didn't hesitate. She fired, narrowly missing him as he lunged forward. The fight was brutal, each blow testing her limits, but Rachel refused to back down. With every ounce of strength, she delivered a powerful strike, knocking Zerkthal to the ground. "You underestimated us," she said, standing over him. "Humanity fights for what matters, and we won't yield." At her signal, Emily detonated the charges. The construct began to collapse, alarms blaring as explosions tore through its core. Rachel sprinted back to the shuttle, barely escaping as debris rained down around her. The Aegis pulled away just as the structure erupted in a blinding explosion, taking much of the Vorthek fleet with it. Exhausted but victorious, the crew watched the fiery aftermath. Humanity had struck a decisive blow, but Rachel knew the war wasn't over. Still, one thing was certain. They had proven their resolve. The Aegis limped back toward Earth, its hull scared and battered from the battle. The crew sat in silence on the bridge, their bodies weary but their spirits lifted by what they had accomplished. The Vorthek orbital construct was gone, a massive blow to their enemy's war machine. For the first time in weeks, there was a glimmer of hope, but Rachel Monroe knew better than to let her guard down. The Vorthek were still out there, and this victory was only the beginning. As they approached Earth, news of their success spread quickly. Holographic screens across human colonies showed images of the destroyed construct, accompanied by reports of the Aegis daring mission. President Laura Hayes delivered a speech that echoed across the galaxy. "Today, we honor the bravery of Captain Rachel Monroe and her crew," she declared. "They have shown us that no matter how great the odds, humanity will stand firm. We are united, and we will not yield." The Aegis docked at Luna Base, where crowds of people gathered to welcome the crew home. Soldiers, scientists, and civilians alike cheered as Rachel and her team stepped off the ship. Nathan Cole's sacrifice was remembered, his name spoken with reverence. Emily Dawson held the data drives containing the disruptor blueprints tightly in her hands, knowing they represented humanity's best chance for survival. But amidst the celebration, Rachel couldn't shake the weight of responsibility. She stood apart from the festivities, staring at the stars through a viewport. Daniel joined her after a while, his expression thoughtful. "Do you think it's enough?" he asked quietly. "Will this stop them?" Rachel shook her head. "It's a start. But the Vorthek aren't going to give up. They'll come back stronger next time. We need to be ready." Emily approached them, her voice filled with determination. "We can build more disruptors. With these blueprints, we can protect our colonies and strike back if we have to." Marcus nodded in agreement. "And I'll make sure every ship in the fleet is armed with one. Those bastards won't know what hit them." Rachel smiled faintly, grateful for her team's resolve. They had faced unimaginable odds and emerged victorious, but the road ahead would be long and difficult. Humanity's fight wasn't over. It might never truly end. But as long as people like Rachel, Daniel, Emily, and Marcus were willing to stand and fight, there was hope. President Hayes invited the crew to a formal ceremony in New York City, where medals were awarded and speeches were given. The event was broadcast live across the galaxy, a reminder to all humans, and their enemies, that they were not alone. "This is not just a victory for Earth," Hayes said, addressing the crowd. "It is a victory for every man, woman, and child who calls this galaxy home. Together, we will face whatever comes next." After the ceremony, Rachel returned to the Aegis. She stood on the bridge once more, gazing at the endless expanse of stars. Her thoughts drifted to the battles yet to come, and the sacrifices already made. Humanity had proven its strength, but the cost of survival was high. Still, Rachel felt a deep sense of pride. No matter the challenges ahead, she knew one thing for certain: humanity would endure. "We won't yield," she whispered to herself, the words echoing in the quiet room. And with that promise, she turned her eyes toward the future, ready to lead her people into whatever lay beyond.